I think the building we're going to cover today is going to exemplify to a really good degree the pre-construction price frenzy that happened when the market was hot. And in this case, it's one of the latest buildings to come to downtown Toronto. And thus far, I might say it's a good building, right? In this channel, we often cover bad Toronto condos that I recommend avoiding to my buyer clients. And obviously we highlight great buildings as well. But lately, a lot of the new buildings we've been covering have been bad ones. This is the exception. It's actually a good new building. Nonetheless, it does illustrate perfectly the buying frenzy that occurred at the pre-construction phase at ridiculous price per square foot, which I will cover, and the unfortunate consequences when the market takes a downturn and you're unable to close. Before we get into it though, as always, quick reminder, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate, the condo connoisseur. That's what I call myself. No one knows the Toronto condo market as well as I do. So for any buying, selling, leasing inquiries, the link is there in the description box. Book a call, easier than ever to book a chat with me. A lot of my clients have come from this channel and now my friends. Nonetheless, let's get to the building in question, which is 55 Charles Street East by Mod Developments. It's on Charles Street. As you guys know, I know Charles Street quite well, like the back of my hands. I've purchased a lot of units and sold some units on that street on the behalf of my clients. I have a whole entire video where I break down every single Charles Street condo. It should be on the screen somewhere. So go take a look at that. It might be a bit outdated. It doesn't cover this building. It was recorded 2 years ago. Nonetheless, a lot of good information there. And this is really enough what Google Maps shows, but this is actually inaccurate. This is not 55 Charles Street. These are the Casa buildings, which are their own story. Certain red flags with these, but suitable for some others. We could cover that in a different video. Matter of fact, I did cover that in the Charles Street condo video. This right here is the condo in question, 55 Charles Street. And it looks stunning from the outside. This is what the lobby looks like. Really good, cool looking lobby, aesthetically quite an aesthetically pleasing building. The party room, entertainment room, meeting room, great outdoor area. Amenities are very impressive. Beautiful amenities, I would say. The pictures don't do it justice. It's quite impressive. And you might ask, well, what is the issue here? Well, this building was sold at nearly, for some units, $2,000 per square foot. I might have covered this in one of my other videos when this originally happened. But I had a lot of people reaching out to me around last year, I would say August of last year, who purchased units in this building and were looking to offload them before closing because they purchased at around $1,800, in some cases $2,000 per square foot. Once again, I had one specific individual who reached out who bought a unit for $1.2 million at 600 square feet. That's absolutely outrageous. And hindsight is 2020. We're, as people, not better than people who bought at pre-construction level with these crazy high prices. We're not better people. Let's just be clear here. We're just lucky. And perhaps I'm not giving myself or yourself enough credit, but I don't want to come across judgmental. I just want to use this as an informative piece of content to tell you what's exactly happening on the street level. A lot of these individuals who bought at $2,000 per square foot at 55 Charles and were unable to close are facing potential lawsuits and judgments. It was partially covered in this article, Toronto Condo Buyers abandoned units worth less than they paid, something we've discussed ad nauseum on this channel. And it's specifically covered in this portion. The issue isn't limited to high-end condos. In one case, 535 square foot, one bedroom unit at 55 Charles Street East, purchased at $850,000 in January of 2020, was appraised at just $700,000. By the way, allegedly, I have to say that allegedly the situation was so bad that the builders agreed to reduce the price. Allegedly, if that is true, allegedly this $850,000 price point for this 535 square feet unit, allegedly, once again, was actually the reduced price. And most likely, originally and allegedly, this was probably closer to $1 million, hypothetically. But let's just go with this $850,000 figure that has been reported. In this case, the Toronto Star reviewed over 32 cases of MOD developments suing the buyers who were unable to close. So it's quite fair to say, as I'm sure I have highlighted in the thumbnail and the catchy title, that this builder is suing buyers unable to close, up to 32 buyers and up to $30 million worth of damages. And in my previous video, I covered the Parliament building, I believe, if that's the most recent one. And what I covered was the unfortunate landlords, or if you want to call them investors. Some people don't have any empathy for landlords. Nonetheless, in this case, I say unfortunate because there was 90 or so units for rent on market, now down to 70, and they have to compete against each other. I highlighted why that's an awful situation to be in. You're subsidizing low rents along with 70 other people in the same building, and the rents are going to only decline from there. But those people are the lucky ones because they're not being sued in that case by Greywood Development. And in this case, there's a lot of units for sale at ridiculous price per square foot because they were purchased at such prices. And now they have to offload it at the highest price possible. But even the highest price possible still doesn't cover their costs. So as unfortunate of a situation and as unsavory of a financial situation these people find themselves in, those who have listed it for rent, those who have listed it for sale, they're still far better off than the individuals being sued who didn't even make the cut. And this is not just happening with 55 Charles. I just use it as a case to illustrate the point. This is happening across the Toronto condo market. And this is why there's such a high risk with pre-construction condos. Pre-construction condos, hot take here, only makes sense, I think, in today's market for buyers who actually need a delayed deposit structure. Even then, the price per square foot you're paying is not worth the trouble. I think you can do much better in resale. But certainly, if you're an investor, pre-construction, in my mind, does not make sense. But I'm not a pre-construction expert. Neither am I a pre-construction agent. I'm purely a resale agent. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 to 7 years. Anyways, for any buying, selling, leasing inquiries or any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. My link is in the bio. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.